Oh, boy. Alright. The 1931 offering to the proud legacy of Best Picture was Cimarron, one of the few westerns to ever win the title. I wish I could sit here and tell you it was a good movie, that it was something more than a sack of racist, sexist garbage. I wish I could tell you that I enjoyed 1 second of the 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 33 seconds that this movie ran. Broadway Melody was bad, but it was entertaining in its own way. It was fun to watch how it was going to mess up next. This, Cimarron, is just bad in ways that I didn't even know were possible. This is a rough one. This is Cimarron. The technical. Alright, this is the one thing this movie has going for it. Look at some of these shots. The scope, the grandeur, the wonder of the untamed West. Even a minor shot like this. If you know much about how cameras work, it's amazing, given the dirt road, that the camera and the actress move as smoothly as they do, with the massive cameras they had to work with. It is spectacular. I can't really speak much to the sound in this movie. The sound on my copy was absolutely terrible, but doing some searching around YouTube, I actually found some better quality picture and audio, so I can only assume that there's a better transfer out there. Mine, however, sucked. What can I say? Regardless of what crap I throw at this movie in the next few minutes, and there will be plenty, this movie is, especially for the time, really good, from a technical standpoint. The writing. Alright, this is difficult. You see, my grandmother watches this show, so some of the words that I would usually use to describe the writing in this movie are verboten. The core message of the movie is that a woman needs her man, that the man is blameless. No matter what happens, the woman should dote on her man as soon as he walks in the door. The movie follows a man by the name of Yancey Cravett, who is too ambitious for his own good. He starts off the movie seeking to settle land in the frontier that would eventually become Oklahoma. He fails. He then drags his wife and son along to the same area, from the relative security of their former home. Once back in the frontier, he starts up a successful newspaper, establishes himself as a pillar of the community, then leaves. By himself. For 5 years. When he returns, he's welcomed with open arms. When his wife objects to the lengthy absence, he just gives her an,
"Oh, sugar, sugar, I love you."
This happens. A lot. See?
Sugar, 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 sugar.
Despite completely abandoning his family for years, leaving his wife to support their 2 children, one of which is a newborn, that's all it takes to make it alright. Later he does it again, leaving for who knows how long in a move so unsurprising the movie just covers it in a title card. It'd be like if I just all of a sudden went... This week, the next movie on our list, Birdman. It doesn't work. Even then, though, his wife remembers him fondly, not as the man who up and ran from a successful life and loving family. It all ramps up to a pathetic conclusion that is so predictable, I have no problem showing it here. The real travesty is that the movie could have been interesting if it had just followed Yancey's wife. Her name is Sabra, not that anyone would actually remember that with all the sugars flying around. A woman trying to run a business and raise a family in the male-dominated Wild West could have been a really compelling story. And it might have been that way originally. The movie is based on a book by the same name by Edna Ferber, who might have told a more female-centric narrative. I don't know, I wasn't able to track down a copy of the book in time for this review, and details online were actually pretty scarce. As is, the movie skips any material that doesn't either directly relate to Yancey or at least serve to set up a situation in which he looks like a pillar of masculinity. He's the very definition of a Mary Sue, which for those of you not in the know is an incurably good, righteous person to an annoying, unlikable degree. See Wesley Crusher of Star Trek The Next Generation. Yancey is an honest journalist.
I'll show them first crack. The Oklahoma wigwam prints all the news all the time, knowing no law except the law of God and the government of these United States.
a progressive thinker,
Furthermore, the time has come to give the red man full citizenship so he can live as free as the white man lives.
a skilled public speaker able to whip up a rousing church service in a week's time despite never having preached before.
Friends and fellow citizens, I repent of my greed and my desire for self-advancement at the expense of this community.
A lawyer so effective that the jury only needs 30 seconds to return an innocent verdict against a woman the whole town assumed was guilty.
Gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. We find the defendant, Dixie Lee, not guilty.
The best shot in the West, capable of taking on a whole posse of bandits single-handedly. A man so great that, after a 5-year absence, he's still discussed by his friends in casual conversation.
Say, did you hear anything about Yancey being in Cuba? Yancey? Oh, you're always hearing something about him being somewhere.
This man can do no wrong, from the first blasted frame of this heap of manure all the way up through the final fade to black. The movie, as a whole, is uneven, uninteresting, incredibly sexist, and even throws in a dash of casual racism just to make sure it hits all the bases. The acting. Yancey Cravat looks like he's got his lips stuck in a taffy pulling machine, and that is the least annoying thing about the performance. He acts like a 10-year-old who only has a vague idea of what a man is supposed to act like, strutting around like a man who knows he's the main character. Think Woody in Toy Story 2 when he finds out about Woody's Roundup.
Say, little mister, you notice any trouble around these parts?
Now imagine it's not played for laughs. Everyone else in the movie pulls their weight, but as I've already said, Yancey is the only important character, so everyone else is pretty forgettable. Cimarron was described on the poster as terrific as all creation. It's not. That there's a time in motion picture history that this was considered the best the medium had to offer is embarrassing, and that I had to spend as much time watching, thinking, and talking about it as I did is not something I'm proud of. Do not watch this movie. I don't care if you're a die-hard fan of the Western genre, it is not worth it. The acting is nothing to write home about, the writing is disgusting. Even the impressive technical aspects do not make this movie worth the time. While Broadway Melody left me baffled but amused by the sheer badness of it, Cimarron was just maddening. The really sad thing is, I'm just scratching the surface on this one. I could do like a full half-hour-long review and still not get in everything that I want to say on this one. I just don't have the energy to give this movie any more of my time. I have nothing more to say here. Alright, well that one's done. Please be better.
Stand by your man.